Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
I know, Zach. I'm getting back on the radio. Don't worry. I see when the red light goes on. I'm not going to miss the cue. Don't. Oh, that's oops. Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. By the way, that was totally planned. Like, I knew that the red light was on. I was pretending that I didn't know the red light was on so that you on the other side would think, oh, my God, look, we caught Jeremy not knowing that the red light was on, and we heard what's really behind the scenes happening in between breaks, which is really boring because most of the time we're just talking about muffins or we're making fun of a commercial or we're discussing when the next time we'll be able to get garlic crabs is. Anyway, it is now 6:08. Here at WOBM AM 1160 1310 News Talk Radio. We are streaming live on the Radio Pup app and, of course, at WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. I think I covered everything. I think I hit that all right there, right? It is now my pleasure to introduce our first guest of the day, Jim Flanagan. Coldwell banker, Flanagan Realty. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeremy.
How are you?
I am well, thank you.
All right, good. So I don't, I never like to embarrass a guest. I don't want to do that. Okay. But in this case, I can embarrass someone because they're not technically a guest because they scurried out of the. So Robin Barr, who also works with Jim, she came in, she dropped me a cup of coffee, and then she ran out for fear that we were going to talk to her during this segment. So, Robin, if you're listening somewhere, thank you for chauffeuring Jim. And, this is a shout out for you. And we're going to dedicate this segment to you.
Absolutely. So, thanks, Robin. Thanks for the coffee.
So, never knew that I was that scary. Never knew it. Anyway, so Jim, tell us about what you do. Obviously, you're a realtor here. Obviously, this has been a challenging area for a couple of years now for obvious reasons. I think we all kind of feel like it's bouncing back. We're starting to kind of turn the corner in a positive way. But why don't you talk to us about what you do day to day?
Okay. Well, you've heard the expression herding cats,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As the broker of record and owner of Coldwell Banker Flanagan Realty, we have two offices, one in Toms River, our main office in Toms River, and one out on Route 70 in Manchester. So I like to consider myself more of as a facilitator of change and opportunity, than a broker of record. So basically, my responsibility is to create an environment that's conducive to production. I don't make a dime until Robin Barr and my sales associates make 20 cents.
Right.
So my job, in essence, is to give them the training, the tools, the education, and the systems to make them successful and help people buy and sell homes in Toms River and Ocean County, New Jersey. So it's that simple and it's that difficult. So it's it has been challenging. I remember December of 2008. As I'm sure most people do. Sitting in my office and I'm second generation. I'm Flanagan Realty 2.0. My father started Flanagan Realty in 1979, and we joined the Coldwell Banker. We were the first Coldwell Banker franchise in Ocean County, joining in 1986. So. I came back into the business here in Toms River in 1990. I got licensed in 97 and really went full bore in 98. So come, flash forward, 2008 December, the post-election, there's tumbleweeds blowing through the office. Nobody's buying houses. I'm sitting in my office going, how am I going to keep my father's business alive, let alone mine? And all I could come up with is I couldn't control the election. I can't control the economy. All I can do is, control creating systems in place so when and if the real estate market does rebound, that I'm in a strong position to capitalize on it. So that's what I did. I started learning everything about search engine optimization, and I rebuilt my website in WordPress to capitalize on those search terms so that when people said, okay, it's time to start looking for real estate again in Toms River and in Ocean County, that they found my website. And it worked. So I thought all I had to do was learn everything I could about real estate to teach my salespeople how to list and sell and market and sell real estate. But I ended up having to learn a whole bunch about technology and websites and search engine optimization and marketing and a whole lot of other things. So
interesting. So, it's funny. So you mentioned search engine optimization. So that a lot of people just refer to that as SEO.
Right.
And you hear that term a lot now in the marketing world. And I think we kind of gets glossed over. So I just want to explain that a tiny bit for folks, because this is a big deal if you're looking to drive your business or drive a brand. Search engine optimization basically means that when somebody goes on Google, Yahoo, whatever they're going on, and they search for, in this case, let's say a realtor in Ocean County, that you would come to the top of the list or near the top of the list. And that involves being very active on your websites. It involves posting regularly. It involves using keywords in your posts. It's a real art form to allow yourself to rise up the ranks in a search engine search. Just like it's also an art form if you get a negative review or a negative comment, to also push that particular deal down by driving other things up. So that's it's an unbelievable world that I don't know that Al Gore ever thought that he would have started by inventing the internet. But anyway, and I think Donald Trump said that he can figure out how to really make search engine optimization. He's actually figured out how to master it. So Jim, tell me, how do you end up in this business, though? You personally, what's your background? Where did you start? Where did you grow up? How do you end up at the Jersey Shore doing what you're doing? Talk to us, Jim.
Well, I grew up in Toms River. My father was a salesman for British Petroleum, BP, way back when, and one of his areas that he serviced was Toms River. As a sale, he used to come down to the gas stations down here and tire sales and things like that. And he tells a story about walking down Main Street in Toms River, in the late 60s, and saying, this is where I want to raise my family. So at the time we were actually living in Albany, New York, or just outside of Albany, New York. It was just my brother, and myself with my parents. And my father said, I'm tired of traveling. I want to raise a family and I want to do it in Toms River. So he literally packed us up with a life savings, I think he said at that time was $10,000, which was a fortune in the late 60s, early 70s. And he moved us down here. And at that time, he said there were only two things you could do, either sell cars or sell houses. And nobody wanted to be a car salesman. With all respect to car salesmen, I know there's some very good ones out there. So he joined Crossroads Realty and started selling houses in Toms River. And he very quickly built up his business. He did very well. And then he had 2 daughters after his 2 sons. So then when he had 4 children, he was looking at, okay, now I have this, impending college debt coming up with 4 children I'm going to have to put through school. How am I going to do that as a real estate agent? And he said, I can't. I need to start my own company. And he left Crossroads and he started Flanagan Realty in 1979. Now, I watched my father work his butt off, and I watched how hard he worked, and I'm a graduate of high school East, class of 1984, and the last thing I wanted to do was be a real estate agent or a real estate broker, So I ran from it, like you mentioned, that summer camp.
Right.
I went to Lynchburg College in Lynchburg, Virginia. I went as far away as I could, within a day's drive of Toms River.
Right.
And I liked it so much I took 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah. Right.
That's good.
So afterwards, I spent a couple of years in the Washington, D.C. area where a lot of people, a lot of my classmates from Lynchburg were looking for a career to find me in the bars of Bethesda, Maryland. So along about my 29th birthday, when I came to the realization that a career was not going to walk in to Nantucket Landing in Bethesda, Maryland and offer itself to me. My father had said, he had made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I have to do something with the business.
Right.
So do you want to come back and take it over, or do you want me to sell it? So that's ultimately how I came back to Toms River.
Great. So, all right. So now we got it. So we've heard the background. All right. Now you're saying you're on the other side of your radio going, why in the world am I hearing the sales pitch? What is Jim Flanagan doing in the studio? I don't get it. What's Jeremy doing? All right. So here's the deal. And this is what Jim's going to drop some knowledge on us about when we get back. We are going to talk about the market here. We're going to talk about cease and desist orders. We're going to talk about FEMA. We're going to talk about the rebounding Ocean County housing market. Where is hot, where is not. There's so much coming up with Jim. You have no idea, and you just need to listen to these commercials, and we'll be right back.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
So if you heard that commercial, that Jersey Coast Appliance commercial, which I'm sure you just did, and you heard the little owl hooting when they say night owl service, now you'll understand why I feel compelled when I do the live read later in the show that I have to hoot like that too. It's embarrassing. I know it's emasculating on some level. It's painful, but I do this because I care about my sponsors. I care about local business, and so if I have to hoot like a howl, then I'm going to do what I got to do. Anyway, 622, 25 degrees, heading up to 28. February 11th, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, News Talk Radio, WOBMAM.com, and streaming live on the Radio Pup app. 732-505-1160 here with Jim Flanagan, Coldwell Banker Flanagan Realty. And we're going to talk now. So, all right. So you talked about 2008 and tumbleweeds, right? We know what happened with the superstorm. So where are we now? How do you feel we're doing from a recovery standpoint? What areas do you feel great about, and what areas do you feel like, oh boy, we need a lot of help?
Well, the good news is we're finally recovering. The national housing market has been recovering for about 4 years now, and our local Ocean County Toms River market's about 2 years behind the national market. So I was in Chicago for a Coldwell Banker convention in October, and Richard Smith, who heads all the Realogy brands, he's probably one of the smartest guys in the world, compared where we are in the national housing market to a baseball game. We're in the 4th inning of the 9-inning game. So I'm sitting here, he's going, we have 5 good innings left. So I'm sitting there going, well, Superstorm Sandy delayed our recovery in Ocean County and Toms River. So looking at the last 2 years, we're up 33, 35% year over year the last 2 years in my company. So I got a good 7-year run. And, if everything I think I know about Superstorm Sandy and the recovery comes true, we may have extra innings because all the money and the influx and everything that's happening at the shore could prolong the recovery, barring a catastrophe, on world scale or, an election complete snafu or, right. Bernie Sanders gets elected or something like that, So the good news is the Ocean County market, our local market, is looking good. The adult community market's been a seller's market since Superstorm Sandy. We were talking, off air about the Ocean County Board of Realtors. When Sandy hit, the board got together, brokers, agents, we all came together because immediately we said, the heck with business. We need to find homes for our neighbors and our friends that the storm took their homes. What can we do to help our friends and neighbors put roofs over their heads? And we, at that time, the adult communities had a surplus of vacant housing. And we said, we have thousands of homes and we have thousands of homeless now. Let's put them together. So the Ocean County Board reached out to the state, through Christie and Guadagno, and got permission for us to go to our adult communities and ask them to let, our neighbors and friends that lost their homes in, and they wouldn't lose their charter, they wouldn't be penalized or lose anything. And a lot of the adult communities said, okay. Some of them said, no, we don't have the bylaws or covenants in place, and we don't want, underage people in our communities. So long story short, those that lost their homes that were 55 or over, that had the wherewithal, the savings or an account or equity or something somewhere, said, well, the houses are cheap enough right now. I'll just buy it because I don't know how long it's going to take to get my insurance, my claims, right, my money from FEMA, whatever. So I'll just buy it and live there while I work on my primary house. So what they in essence did was turn a buyer's market into a seller's market in 3 months. They completely turned the inventory around. And that in turn, created price increases. So we've been watching the adult community market in Ocean County year after year after year increase in prices. So our residential market, our non-waterfront, our primary market has stabilized finally. We're in a balanced right. market. We're starting to see price increases in specific pockets and price ranges, but that that third of our market, that waterfront market, that area that was impacted the most by Superstorm Sandy, is still the market that's been out of play for the last 2 years.
Right.
A third of our market was taken out.
So a couple takeaways there. Number one, Jim Flanagan not feeling the burn. I don't know if you got that there. Did not get an endorsement. Bernie did not get an endorsement here. I would like to talk after the break to you about those retirement communities because I feel like they're the 800-pound gorilla here in Ocean County. It's of major concern to me about what those communities turn into in a major seller's market. Or, in a market where there's a major sell-off in those communities. Jim Flanagan, Coldwell Banker, Flanagan Realty, back with us after the break. We have a caller, so we never know what that's going to look like. I mean, that could go horribly wrong, and I know you're excited to see that like watching a NASCAR race. Be right back after this.
The news is next. Live from the WOBM Newsroom, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back, 634. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 25 degrees, heading up to 28 here on February 11th. WOBM AM 1160, 1310. News Talk Radio, streaming live on the Radio Pup app and at WOBMAM.com. Feel free to join the conversation at 732-505-1160 here with Jim Flanagan, Coldwell Banker, Flanagan Realty. You can join the conversation just like Heather is about to join the conversation. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I am living the dream, Heather. How are you?
I am good. I am actually a customer of Flanagan Realty, and I had a question for Jim.
Hi, Heather. Shoot.
Oh.
Well, I am actually closing on my house today, thanks to Robin. And I have to sell my current house. Do you have any advice for those that are selling in order to make my house stand out?
Oh, outstanding question. Of course I do. And I've actually seen your beautiful home. I
want to do anything I can because I love this house, and we are lucky enough to be moving next to my parents, and it's literally the only reason I would move from this house. So I want, somebody to enjoy it as much as I do.
Well, the first thing you did right was you hired us and you hired Robin Barr. Okay, so
of course I would do Robin.
So the most important things, as you're well aware, selling a home is really, a cooperative effort of two very important things: pricing and exposure. So when in the market that we're currently in here in Toms River, where it is rebounding, it's slowly starting to get better. Our job is to get you the most possible money we can for the house. So we need to test the market and price it, but we need to price it not outside the market, and then we need to expose it to the masses. And the first thing that we need to do is target and identify who's going to buy your house.
Yeah, I was surprised because I thought when we had the open houses that there would be families. And in the open houses, there was older people who didn't want to go to a retirement, just wanted a ranch house. I was really surprised by that.
Right. They're not building ranches anymore. Everybody wants to build the colonial today. So you do. It's a market.
It's a part of the market I didn't even think of.
Right. So we have people that are living longer, healthier, more active lives that don't want to be in adult communities that are looking for the ranches. They want that single floor living. And you have a huge, beautiful yard with a built-in pool, so you have a lot to maintain and take care of back there.
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off with that. So, going back to your original question, if we price it right, then we need to expose it in its best light.
Okay.
So, most as you're well aware, and you probably do this, everybody's going to Realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia, and the national portals, and they're looking at pictures. So you want to have,
which are beautiful. Robin did an excellent job.
Right. You want to have professional photos taken. You want to have, a video tour. You want to have, you want to have your house exposed in the best possible light on all the major portals and every website that you can. But it has to work in conjunction with the price.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Robin and I and my husband were all on the same page with the price. So we were pleasantly surprised by that when we had first talked about that. So I just didn't know if there was anything as a seller that I could do.
Well, what do buyers want, right? You're buying a house next to your parents. I know where you're buying your home. So aside from the primary thing, right, which was location, you want to be close to your parents. What's next?
In terms of what?
Are you looking for space? Are you looking for utility? What are you looking for besides the location?
Location. Obviously, for my kids, I have 2 kids, so 2 bedrooms, a place for them. It centers around them. A pool was important to us, and just space.
Ooh, can I answer? Can I try?
Sure, Jeremy.
How about like the school system? Like what school they would go to?
Yes, that was.
Oh, listen,
very
Heather, don't try and say that you were going to say that now. Don't try and pretend. Listen to me.
Jeremy.
Don't try and say you're coming up with the answers here when I came up with the answer clearly. Whatever. I care about my kids, but I forgot about the schools. No worries. I got it.
No, it was important that we stayed in North Dover so we didn't disrupt their schooling. Yes, Jeremy, you're
That's great, retrospectively.
Yeah, I love my kids. I just forgot about them.
Right. No. So what I'm getting to is there's 5 reasons everybody buys a house, and as sellers, we automatically think it's the price, but it's not. The first thing is location. The second thing is the size. The third thing is the utility. The fourth thing is the condition of the property. Right. Mm-hmm. And, can you as the seller affect most of those or any of those 5 things? Can you affect the location? Can you affect the size? You can affect the condition to some.
Yeah, the condition.
Right?
Yes.
You can add hardwood floors and granite or quartz countertops or HGTV it out, because we all believe that you have to, everybody buys houses according to HGTV rules and regulations, right? We live in that, dysfunctional mindset. Mm-hmm. But you can't affect the location or the size.
Right. So Heather, I would say that if and I'm just taking a stab here. In my personal opinion, the most important things would be that as long as you have a pool, an outdoor kitchen, a fire pit, and a huge master bedroom, I think that you'll have everything you need to sell your house. Heather, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you both.
Have a great day.
Congratulations, Heather.
Oh, yes. Good stuff. So, while we're talking, we only have 2 minutes to our next break, but talk to me about, while we're talking about marketing houses, so we're in the process of putting in a no-knock, basically a no solicitation zone.
A cease and desist.
A cease and desist zone. How does that affect a realtor like yourself? What can you do? What can't you do? What are the downsides for the homeowners there?
Well, this particular ordinance, the cease and desist ordinance, is an anti-solicitation ordinance, specifically an anti-real estate solicitation ordinance. So what this basically, the ramifications are, it's up to a 5-year ban on any real estate solicitation within this geographic zone in the North Dover section of Toms River. So in essence, it's restricting our trade. We can't go and knock on anybody's door within this geographic zone and ask them if they want to market or sell their home, their house. So I understand its intention. I understand the concerns of the township and of the township council. So I do understand that, but they're not looking at, I'm a businessman who works in Toms River. It affects my business if there's a for sale by owner in that zone, if there's a listing that failed to sell with another broker in that zone. Now I'm not allowed to go knock on their door because they have to paint everybody with the same brush. They can't discriminate. It's all real estate solicitors.
Yeah, I understand completely. All right, Jim, listen, we have one more segment left for you, and we have our big question. We always have our big finish, which is, Jim, congratulations. You just got a magic wand, some pixie dust. You have the ability to affect change in one way without any politicians involved, without any voting, without anything. What would you do with that magic wand? We're going to find your answer out in just a few minutes. Right back after this. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin.
Everything you need to know about the Jersey Shore. This is Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. 647 WOBM AM 1160, 1310. News Talk Radio, WOBMAM.com, and streaming live on the Radio Pup app, 732-505-1160. We have another caller on the line, and I have to be extra careful with this one because it's Phil Brilliant Environmental. He has something to say, and the problem is that Phil is guest hosting a couple of times for me in the next couple of weeks, so I can't just smack him around and then cut him off and say, ha-ha, because he's going to have an opportunity to have like 5 hours to slam me in the next couple of weeks. So good morning, Phil. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. How you doing? I've already started preparing my slams. I mean, my show.
Oh, that's fabulous.
I'm ready.
That's fabulous.
I'm excited. And good morning, Jim. Wanted to call in and say hi. And Jim and I have worked together for many, many years.
Top of the morning, Phil.
Yeah, good to see you. How you doing?
Good. You too.
So I know Jeremy wants to go into his last part of his segment and throw some fairy dust on you, but I had a quick question for you on the cease and desist. You know, one of the things that sometimes people forget about, you know, this ordinance had nothing to do with real estate. It was born out of a grisly murder back in 2004 when somebody was selling magazines door to door.
Yes.
And now, you know, what is that? Jeremy can do the math for us. That's like 12 years later. You know, we have this basically blocking of door-to-door sales for real estate. And you just made an interesting comment about how it's going to adversely affect your business.
Right, and not just mine. Anybody who does business on the borders in the north, bordering Toms River.
Right, and so I guess my question is, so we have something where people, you know, can go get a permit, and people who have do not knock stickers, you can't knock on their door, and now you are blocked out of that area for 5 years. Up to 5 years,
if it passes. Yep, up to 5 years.
So, an idea based upon business and how much business do realtors do door to door?
Not that much, and that's their argument. That times have changed and tactics should change with them. And this comes from an attorney. You know, they just started using email in real estate transactions 2 years ago, and they're telling me how tactics should change. I understand that. Yeah, the internet has changed things. It's the new paradigm. The do not call, the do not spam, all this do not, and protection of privacy and rights. I completely understand that. But you also need to, they should understand that when it comes to a for sale by owner or a listing that failed to sell, an expired listing, where we know 20, 30 other agents are going to be calling first thing in the morning, what's going to differentiate my agent from another agent? Maybe going out, getting in the car, driving out there and knocking on the door, instead of letting them screen the phone call. That removes their freedom of business. It stops them from making a living. You do a lot of business with real estate agents. We wake up unemployed every day.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, now our township is saying, well, we're going to make it just a little more difficult for you to get a job today.
Well, I guess on the other side, too, and I don't know if anybody's looked at this yet, is it going to make it more difficult to sell homes in that area?
It's not going to make it more difficult to sell homes in that area because marketing's a completely different animal. Marketing and selling homes a completely different animal from getting the job.
So great conversation, really great point. Phil, thank you so much for calling in. We are up against a break.
No problem. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks, Phil.
And so listen, I feel badly because we have come to an end here, Jim, and I didn't get your magic wand fairy dust statement. So
you'll just have to have me back.
No, well, there's two options, and so I'm perusing the two options. So option one is we can have you back. Option two is you can just write a 500-word double-spaced essay on what you would do with your magic wand. So, I'm kind of figuring out which one we're going to do. I will get back to you on that. Jim Flanagan, thank you so much for joining us. Coldwell Banker, Flanagan Realty. Again, Robin Barr, his chauffeur, is waiting downstairs. Thank you so much, Jim. I had fun.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
All right, we'll be right back after this.